Welcome to the year we started a podcast. It's a podcast born Phoenix-like from last year's podcast. I literally almost said welcome to Dear Hank and John because I was listening to Dear Hank and John.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Something brothers, something, John and Hank. All right. I am your co-host, Jeff.
And I am your other co-host, Nick.
And this is our podcast where what do we do? I forget. Do we do advice questions? This is an advice show, Nick?
I don't think so. I'm checking. No.
This is a show where we like to talk about some things that are fun and interesting to us. And today, Nick, in unfamiliar waters we are. It is but only noon o'clock where I am, and you, it's not even in PM yet.
It's AM, which means I'm weak.
I mean, I will say, most people will note, based on our time zones, you are only at 10 a.m. That is not exactly exceptionally early, but apparently Nick is a person who is not alive yet.
I've been awake for 4 hours. It's just been miserably awake for 4 hours.
I'm very sorry. Nick, so yesterday, and our listeners will find this out later on, but we had a guest on our podcast, and it ended up taking a hot minute to record, and by the time we had gotten to the part where we recorded this bit, Jeff was tired. Jeff did bad job at topic, and Jeff asked Nick if he could have another shot at this. So here you go. For the very first time, we're premiering our new normal recording. Yeah, shut up, Nick. We're going. Our new normal recording time here of during the day.
Not a good idea.
Nope.
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Okay. So this is a thing that we have visited many a times, and that is my ability to make awkward social situations worse than they have to be.
I already know where this is going. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know that you 100% know. You can see the thing on the Google Doc, but I'm not 100% sure you're 100% aware of my capabilities here. So here's the thing. Two different parts here. One, I'm a nice person, and I like to hold the door open for people. Like, that's like a thing I like to do. Okay. And then another thing is I do enjoy talking to people. Like I do enjoy, talking to you. I had fun last night on our with our guest, and the thing is though, Nick, I'm a genuine person. I hate artificial small talk, and so they're like, you would think like, oh man, if I'm a person that likes talking to people, that I would, not really mind going on the elevator with somebody else or something like that. But it seems so disingenuous to me, and I don't like it. So I try to, awkwardly avoid it whenever possible. Well, in addition to being bad at, trying to lag behind and check my phone to delay so I can have an elevator ride by myself, I have this thing where, as like I mentioned, I don't really like the artificial small talk, but there's this weird thing, like if you're riding down on an elevator with somebody and then you both know that you're walking to the exact same parking lot, like you both get off at the same time, but you've been like, yeah, well, had a good day, have a good evening, and then you get off the elevator and then you have to walk to your car for the next 3 minutes, oh gosh, how do I do this? So a strategy that I've tried recently that does not work is just slow down enough so they feel like they can go through the door and do their own thing by themselves and not feel obligated to try to continue the small talk, even though we've already said goodbye to one another. But then what that results in is I haven't lagged behind far enough, because then they do the thing where they open the door and they're trying to be nice, but now I'm way far behind, walking much slower than I should, and then I have to speed up, or then I make them do the thing where they have to I turned around and made eye contact with this person who I'm holding the door open for, but they're way far away. What do I do? So I've put them in a worse situation. And on the other side of it too, I hate the thing where I'm walking and I open the door and I look behind me and there's somebody that's I can't quite tell what the social pressure should have me do here. Do I just pretend that I didn't make eye contact with this person because they're 15 seconds away? Or should so Nick, I want to ask you, what what's wrong with me? But no, but like for real, like what?
We're overthinking it. Like I love you. You're overthinking it. You can just walk with the person after saying bye. I hate walking with somebody the same way after saying bye too. Or not hate, but like, it's also awkward. It's definitely awkward. It's 100% awkward. But like if you do, nothing's gonna happen. You just make a dumb joke about it, like, oh, yeah, we already said bye. Oh, that's funny. Oh,
I literally am.
I know
incapable of making that joke. Like, I will literally turn around and pretend my car is in another parking lot half a mile away if that's what it takes to avoid.
I forgot my shoes upstairs. Actually, I have to get back in the elevator.
Oh, this call that I definitely. Yep. Nope. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. I'll be home. I'll be home soon. I'm walking out to my car by myself.
By myself. Yep. Oh my god. No, it's exactly freaking right. I honestly don't know what the move is. I am completely with you. My move would literally be like if in my most awkward of moments, it would be to like, I don't know, pretend I need to go to a water fountain if you're in like the lobby of a building, or like pretend you need to go out of your way for something, or check your phone and just stop. Like, just literally stop and check your phone and just like wait long enough.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be my move. I could not possibly walk and check this message. It's impossible.
Nope. Just gonna focus in on this one.
Don't text and walk, people.
Exactly.
Okay, so Nick, I want to get some real. I want to see how close we are on this. So let's say you're walking into a building, and a person is walking behind you that you know is also coming into this building. What is the distance that is appropriate to hold open the door for that person? Because clearly, like if they're on the other side of the street, you walk in, you turn around to check, and you look and you make eye contact, and if they're on the other side of the street, it's no big deal. You just walk in, it's okay. But like how far away? You look at the person, you make eye contact. What happens?
The actual answer is probably like 3 seconds of. Like, you know what I mean? 3 seconds of steps worth. My stupid, terrible brain that doesn't want to be rude to anyone is if they're within eyesight at all, I'll just stand there and just like, no worries. No worries.
Oh man, I hate that too. Cause like I do the same thing of like, which I will happen. Like if I'm the lead, it's easy because I can either speed up enough that it's not even going to be close, or I know not to look back because that's awkward. Or I can slow down enough that it's not going to be like me holding the door open and making them feel like that for rush. This is. I will say. Okay, go ahead.
I will say, being I think the pandemic has helped slightly break me from this slightly because I feel like I don't have to do this nearly as much, and I think that the reason for that is that I'm not going into those kind of buildings and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't even know the last time I awkwardly had to hold the door for someone because, where do I go? I go to like the grocery store.
Honestly, like, sliding doors. I had built up, strategies over the years, and then had all of that muscle memory fade away. And now that I am back in person for my job, I'm having to relearn how to handle all these things. It's just difficult, Nick. It's difficult. All right.
It is.
Aside from exploiting my social anxiety for everybody's pleasure, what would you like to talk about for your half this week before we dive into our main topic with our guest?
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this last night, but then we messed it up. But more importantly, I don't think this is a topic that I have any research on. I just wanted to pick your brain on it, and so I figured, our listeners probably like that. I'm watching The Queen's Gambit at your recommendation with Jen. And I am 4 or 5 episodes in.
Nice.
And I am totally enthralled. And Jen is liking it, but she's not like as eager to watch the next episode every time as I am. And part of the reason is that she said it's another one of your sad shows.
Kinda, yeah.
So my thought here is like, what drives us to like the kind of media that we do? And the reason I say is that, so not even trying to be all I am very smart or anything, but I really gravitate towards media where the central conflict is a person grappling with things that mess with them on an emotional level or mental level. And I mean, honestly, media that is very like heady and depressing usually, or sad. It's like stuff that challenges you and challenges like how we are. I loved the first season of True Detective. I loved The Ozarks. I loved Breaking Bad. I loved The Wire. All of these shows are just sad. They're just not happy shows. They are sad, sad shows, but that are also at times really smart and like really get to the stuff that makes us tick as humans and makes us tick, and like it exposes how we deal with trauma or hardship or whatever it may be. And so oftentimes in very extreme ways that are not relatable. And like, you know, the girl who's a giant prodigy orphan or a chess player who is just smarter than everybody else and can map out a game of chess a million times over and map out a million different moves in her head is not relatable. But the part where she struggles really hard with acceptance and finding home is relatable to like everybody, right? And that's definitely the media that I gravitate towards. And I don't know why. And are you the same way? Do you gravitate towards this, like, just sometimes self-punishing?
I feel like it's a little harsh to say self-punishing.
I'm not sad. I'm not like watching it crying or anything like that for what it's for our listeners.
Like we've mentioned, I definitely cry at everything. So I'll separate the two because I do feel like it's a completely different thing from comedy. Comedy, totally. I feel like people find the things funny that they find funny, and that's just how the things that they're going to gravitate toward on the comedy side. So I feel like it's a lot more straightforward on that end. There's definitely variants of that. Like some people like different flavors of comedy that are vastly different to one another, you know, dry or dark or, I don't know, stupid, dumb, right, fart humor. I mean, there's, you know, the gamut there, but, but no, I would say on the other side of things, if you're watching a serious show, for me, it's the main character being interesting and somebody that I would like, you know, if I was in their shoes, that I can relate to the decisions that they're making or the hard or the, you know, the difficulty of the situations that they're in. It's like, you know, watching Breaking Bad and, you know, you can put yourself in Walter White's shoes. I'm probably not going to start a meth empire tomorrow, but if I were in this situation, like, man, this is a really, really compelling thing that this guy is doing. And like, you know, probably not the path I would go down, but right. I can see how a person would do it. And it's like, it's the creative storytelling through that lens that really captures me, I think. But I hadn't really thought about it. I'm so glad you didn't ask me this yesterday. I would have had literally no, like I wouldn't have had two brain cells to rub together to give you an answer. But
oh my god, no. But see, I find that same stuff really compelling. I often don't like this kind of the kind of mainstream media that's been around now that has I don't know how to put it. There's a different kind of mainstream media that I just can't get into, and it's usually the stuff that isn't. I avoided using the term tragedy because these aren't the old school type of tragedy where everyone dies or the main person dies or whatever at the end, you know. But a lot of times they are, in a way, like they have the same vibe as a tragedy, right? Or the same elements of a tragedy, and I don't know why I gravitate towards that. But you're totally right. It is very different from comedy too, to your earlier point. Because I also watch really upbeat, funny comedy, like Parks and Rec. We've talked about on the show is like something I love. But I can't get into like superhero movies, for example. I can sort of watch superhero movies, but you know, a bunch of my friends go see Marvel movies, and sometimes I'd go with them and stuff. But I'd be like, okay, like great, you know, Captain America threw his shield, and that was great for him. And he's a nice guy. That's great.
Yeah, so we might have found the most unpopular opinion that we both kind of agree on, to be honest. Because like, you know, like I'll be honest, Nick, at first, like the first handful of Marvel movies I did watch, but I don't know that I've watched a Marvel movie and I know, like, I can think of people that I know listen to this that are going to be shaming me after this, but
of course.
I literally don't. It might have been since like pre-kids that I have watched a Marvel movie.
Damn.
So we're talking like 4 years or 5 years, and like I don't even think that's an exaggeration.
And they're not like bad. They're not like bad experiences. It's just that I don't really care that much about the experience. It's like, oh, cool.
I 100% agree, and it got me to think about like. There are certain genres of things that are not typically the area that I would enjoy watching, but I do, if it is compellingly well done, like I still can get into it. Like I'm not a big fantasy person per se, but I do really enjoy stuff like Harry Potter, like reading the Harry Potter books, or Lord of the Rings, both reading and watching those movies. I don't really ever do that outside of those like those titles
really
and those genres.
Yeah.
But like, and maybe it was just I was the right age when I read it, or I was just in the right season of life or whatever. But like those I really gravitated to, and I thought they were well done and I enjoyed. But like they are by far the exception to the rule. Like I definitely like the things that I like, and I don't know. It is a very interesting thing though. Like what drives you, and there's certainly huge differences, because there are 800 Marvel movies now, and there are people that have watched every single one every single time it comes out, and like I don't get the same level of excitement for that sort of thing. I don't know. I do, like, it's not that I don't enjoy them. It's not something I'm going to seek out. Like, I'll watch it if it's on. Like, if it's something my wife will watch, then sure, that's fine. It's not going to be. I would much rather go trolling through IMDb's top 100 movies and find one that I haven't watched for forever, or either in forever. Well, actually, you know what? I hardly ever rewatch movies. Watch one that I haven't seen yet that I've heard people recommend, and go watch that, as opposed to watching the new shiny exciting action thing.
I completely agree. I've watched probably half of the Marvel movies, mostly just because, coworkers or old friends or whatever liked them and I wanted to see them. And I wouldn't describe any of them as like a bad experience or a bad time. Like I never was offended, but it's like, oh, this is the one where all the guys fight each other and they make a lot of quips the whole time. And that's one thing. Did you see Black Panther?
No, honestly, that's the other thing I was going to mention. I was thinking about, like, I'm like, I do. I mean, they're not ones I would seek out, but they were movies that, like, back in the day, like, I wouldn't mind go. Like, me and Katie, like, for date nights, would often go to movies, and then I remembered, like, oh right, like, I haven't seen basically any new movies.
That's fair too.
I forgot about that fact. So I guess Marvel, you get a little bit of a pass there, but yeah,
fair.
No, I have not. I have not seen Black Panther.
So, but Black Panther is like my exception to the rule for Marvel films, and I'm probably not. That's not an original take, I'm sure, but and again, don't dislike the Marvel films. Just didn't like. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch any of them again, or the ones that I missed. But so Black Panther, the Michael B. Jordan's character in it, very much has is a trope of the kind of villains that I love, that are people that are obviously extreme, but are very relatable and have very relatable motivations and very real reasons to make a morally ambiguous, or like not necessarily ambiguous, but like very real reasons to, and very relatable human reasons to have to make sweeping moral mistakes. I don't know what I'm looking for, like to be the villain in this story, or to be the antagonist in general. He's not just, I'm here to rule the world, or like I watched the Avengers films, and freaking spoilers for Avengers, but like Thanos wants to kill half of humanity because of like resource starvation. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it. The world is overpopulated, but like, you're gonna blow up half of humanity for that? Nobody actually feels that way. There's not a normal human being out there in the world who thinks like, man, we really don't feed enough people in underprivileged areas and underprivileged countries. We should kill half the people. It's the only right move. It's not a relatable experience at all. It's just like, Thanos is mean. And everyone will tell you like Thanos is like the actor was really good and like has really human moments and yada yada. It's still just not relatable at all.
Okay, Nick, I want to one more thing, and then we'll get to our main topic. Nick, I think this has also made me realize how dramatically shifted my media consumption has gone from movies to television series.
Same.
I assume that's like not uncommon. I mean, but I feel like it's got to be north of 95 to 5. like it is 95% right at this point, probably TV series, and 5% movies. It's just a rarity that we would do that. It's a time commitment. Like, we normally have like an hour before bed that we just want to hang out and watch something, and I don't know, movies require more time and focus than that.
I also would wager that part of the reason that you do that, and I am the same way now, but part of the reason is probably the same thing in that it just lets you flesh out these characters really well and really get to like more compelling stuff. We're in like the golden age of TV. Like you get so much to your point about like having a compelling main character. I mean, the Beth from Queen's Gambit, you just get so much time with her. I'm only 4 episodes in, and everything that we've gotten with this, we've gotten to like experience all the little terrible moments and stuff with her that like drive her towards whatever she's, you know, her the way that she's exploring adulthood and freedom and crap like that. And it's stuff that you couldn't get this much time with in a movie, right?
Yeah.
So movies that do it well, they'll still knock it out of the park. I'm not saying that the film medium can't do that job as well, and like can't, but you don't get as much time to do it, right? So that's one thing that that's one reason I think that I gravitate towards TV at least.
I think another part of this that contributes, because I do agree, I think we are in an awesome age of media right now as far as content goes. But I think another thing that contributes to that is the fact that there are so many more diverse like groups of people that are getting able to have their things seen by lots and lots of people because of streaming services, instead of everything being like huge, all these big movie companies putting these things out. Like there are just so many more, I don't know if independent creator is the right way to say it, but like there's more people doing things.
Yep.
And you can get picked up by a number of streaming services and have an audience that you would have never been able to have, even 10 years ago.
Yeah. True. Very true. I think there's a lot more original ideas in the film, especially in TV, I think. But like there's, yeah.
All right, let's hop to our main topic this week. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. And here we go. Get to our main topic this week. We have a very special guest, to which we will need to tune our radios. I'm not sure how to do this on a podcast. Nick, are you familiar with the process for tuning a radio on a podcast?
What's a radio?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's a radio?
It's what we do professionally now. The thing.
Okay, boomer.
All right, Nick, I need you to pick a number between 90 and 110.
I'm still not clear on what a radio is.
All right. I'm going
106.5.
All right, 106.5.
I don't know.
All right, we're going to tune our radio to 106.5, and on the other side of the radio we have...
Hey, how's it going today, guys?
This is the best transition, the best introduction.
We planned this out so much, like we spent so much.
I did a really good job of playing into your joke, and it made it work so much better. I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I was such a nerd.
I appreciate it, although I will say we need to quickly make sure we introduce our 106.5 guest, which is a person from the radio industry, AJ Riggenbach. And you know what? So AJ, we've known each other for, at this point, at least for me, more than half my life. I've said your last name probably less than 10 times. Is that the right way to say that?
Astoundingly, you are correct. Most people do mispronounce it, which I don't blame them. But yeah, you got it.
Yeah, as a person with the last name of Schesser, I understand, and you know what? We can have that in common. Okay, so. AJ has been a friend of mine for a very long time, a friend of both Nick and I, actually. And AJ works in the radio industry. We're basically peers.
It's true. 100%.
At this point, he does it professionally. Nick and I have
If you could not lump AJ in with us, I would really appreciate that.
See, I appreciate you keeping me up higher than you. I'm going to assume that's what that is.
Yeah,
exactly.
That
Where you belong.
That is honestly. The definition of peer, is somebody who's slightly higher than you.
That's how that works.
It's how it works. Actually, you know what? So to give some, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, AJ has been a person that we've been able to bounce ideas off of. He's helped give audio feedback and has also been a patron of our show, which is fantastic. I don't know why he does that, but you know what? I am appreciative nonetheless. And
wait, so Nick, that's why you got my credit card number?
I'm sorry, what?
What?
I'm sorry, what? You got? I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
Excuse?
What?
That was a different Nick. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite things about having people that I am able to talk to that listen to the show is talking about the things that are fun and interesting to them. And AJ is the person we've alluded to before that we don't 100% trust, but he's a good enough friend that Nick and I have agreed. Okay, go ahead, Nick. Yes.
So I'll give AJ some credit because we've just been ragging on him the whole time since we got him on. I actually do trust AJ. I think AJ would probably have better ideas for this than either of us.
I wouldn't go
He does
that
this
far.
for a living, Jeff. I don't know what I'm doing at all. I don't know why you want me on this show. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, if you listen to our Patreon only episode, you will know that he does this like multiple times a week, and I'll just say, Nick, that's more than we do. So,
There you go.
And I do it live.
yeah, he does it live, which
scary.
It's scary.
That's terrifying.
if anybody's curious, Nick and I, we do edit our podcast down, I would say by a good third.
In about 30 seconds after discussing whether or not we should do these things live, I instantly gave an example of why I can't be done. I can't be allowed to do these things live. So.
Yep, we would never reach syndication on the radio. But AJ, I think you have a topic for us. We did allow you to do it blind.
Yeah,
meaning
big mistake
we
for
have
you
no
guys.
idea what this is, as Nick predicted. But I want to know what is our topic this week that we're going to be talking about, and then we will dive right in.
All right. I want to talk about something that I think is a big problem. It's a big problem everywhere, but it does
I'm
affect
scared already.
America a lot. It's a
so
big,
scared.
and it's about something that I really hate, and that's sleep. Okay. See, it didn't get
Okay.
too crazy. So yeah, obviously, I mean, would you say you guys sleep enough?
Negative.
Okay.
As a person with
Negative.
2 kids, literally, I can't. I don't.
Yeah. Well,
I think like the vast majority of us don't
Yeah,
sleep
I
enough,
agree.
right? And I think
Even
everyone knows
pre-kids.
it.
Yeah.
yeah, I
And I
definitely.
think there's a weird culture. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk over you, but like I think there's a weird culture in America where we're all like proud about it too. We're all like, dude, I don't know, I'm just wiped out. I only got 4 hours of sleep, and it's like, why are you happy with that?
Yeah, it's one of those
bad.
weird things where you one up people based on how much worse you had something, which it's very weird to get to the kids slang a weird flex, but okay. If I don't know if they still say that.
Yep.
Maybe they do. Yeah. But
I've heard of it, which means that they probably said it 6 or 7 years ago, and so I have to assume it's still good.
yeah, very much so now, it feels like.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, according to what they said, 35% of people don't. And obviously there's issues, if you don't sleep enough, like your high blood pressure, you can get diabetes, stuff like that. Do you know how many car accidents that people being tired is responsible for? If you want to take a guess.
All you.
No, you go. First liar never wins. So you go ahead and pretend like you know what this is going to be.
We're gonna do this Jeopardy style. I assume that honestly, I have no idea, man.
It's
I assume,
100,000
like, 100
with just 100,000. I mean, not hundreds.
just a single 100,000. No big deal.
6,000 fatalities, which is crazy.
I was going to say 25K, and that was what I thought was higher than what it should have been. But then it was 4 times more than that. So yeah,
I'm actually checking the math. 2 is higher than it should have been. 1 is like, okay, all right, we learned our lesson again, guys. But 2 is higher than it should be. That's terrible.
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Yeah. There's facts that people who work like 12.5-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts, like nurses, if they're working that instead of an 8, then they're like 3 times as likely to commit a medical error, which is crazy to think about. You're 7 times more likely to have an accident at work. And then there's also just even, factoring in things that are chances like that, just the actual numbers, there's economic impact to this, which I didn't really realize until I just started Googling how much I hate sleep. So,
I assume productivity drops like nuts, right?
oh yeah. And for some reason, it affects America much harder than other countries. Like, I'm not trying to rag on us, but I mean, the statistics are there.
We definitely do have like despite all consequences, we are willing to sign ourselves up for way more than we ought to.
Oh, yeah.
And
My first job, I felt like I was surrounded by a bunch of crazy people because I'm just like some like wide-eyed kid who's like an idiot, and I hear all the people like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't sleep last night because I was so sick, but I worked because I never call out." And I'm like, "You're sick and you didn't sleep.
Yeah.
You're useless and getting us all sick too."
I hope
What's wrong with-
I hope that's slightly less popular these days.
I'm sure it is, but like, there's a culture to it in America that is really weird, and I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Yeah. like the second country is Japan, which I feel also has a reputation. I don't know if it's stereotyping as bad as that might be or sound, so we might have to cut this. Like, you know, their culture is all about working hard, working overtime to show that, you know, you're dedicated to your job, that kind of thing. And so it basically just between the two countries, even comparing though, let's double check. Yeah, America has 1.23 million working days per year that they estimate being lost just on sleep deprivation compared to the...
Wow.
Let me double check. Yeah, 0.6 million. It's crazy that it's that much of a difference even just between two countries at the top. And also, if you factor in for like GDP wise, it's like 1.5 to 2.5%, like between 280 and 410 billion dollars, I believe.
Wow, like $410 billion of productivity lost?
Yeah.
Or, yikes. Guys, we can all be rich. Please sleep.
Man, that is so wild, because I definitely acknowledge that, like, as a person who has been in my industry for a long time, I certainly know that there are times where I have been extremely sleep deprived, but it was more of a dysfunctional thing as opposed to a productive thing. And I know for a fact I would be better, and the people that work for me would be better if we had a healthier balance. It wasn't ever really a focus. So how do we do better? Do you have an answer? Like, what's this look like for people that do a good job at this?
AJ, this is your moment. He's asked you, how do we do better? But this is actually kind of the whole country asking you, how do we do better?
Yeah, I'm ripping off my shirt.
Moment.
There's
Lead us forward.
Pass out Superman on it sleeping. But no, I'm not entirely sure. I do think some of it, if we could alter maybe the working schedules potentially, but I know that's kind of a crazy idea, but it's also been proposed for like a 4-day work week. That could help balance things potentially. I'm honestly not sure. A lot of it does have to do with shift work as well. People who work rotating shifts and not being able to have that consistent sleep schedule. I know that's something I used to experience myself whenever I worked in the food industry, you know, going from opening a restaurant to closing it the next day. And there's just no way you can find a good balance with that. So I'm not really sure.
All right. I want to hear you guys' opinion on how much do you feel like the pandemic will change the regular 9 to 5. There are things that will be different because of the pandemic and what we've quickly realized is possible remote, or no?
AJ, you want to hit it first?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
I honestly...
I can go, but I can ramble, but I just,
Right. I do think it will affect things, or at least maybe I'm just being too hopeful. I also had the ability to start working from home whenever technically it was actually before the pandemic, but you know, it timed out well to where the rest of the company transitioned to that as well. For at least the back end stuff. For obviously for coming in and doing a live show, we have to, you know, be here. But
right.
Otherwise, it's worked out pretty well. And I just, honestly, there's a lot of good side effects to it. Just think about, you know, with people commuting, if that were to cut down by 25%, you know, there's going to be less carbon emissions, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you're a fan of fossil fuels, we won't go through them as fast. That's another perspective to look at it. There's a lot of like other side benefits that I don't think people might have realized yet to look at. And I'm sure most have, honestly, but I am hopeful that working from home becomes a more consistent thing.
And I'm sure that it will on a societal scale, because I agree with you. And like, you know, being out here, my like mix of social exposure is like a mix of people that work very corporate jobs or very tech related jobs. And, you know, a lot of my friends from college and from my previous jobs work, you know, like warehouse or retail or food service or whatever. And I feel like the thing that is unfortunate about it is that those are the kinds of industries, the less skilled work is probably not going to get that kind of benefit of the doubt. You know, as soon as shops are open up again, I'm sure that, you know, your local Target or whatever is still going to have those kids on their shifts at 10 p.m. closing their stores and whatever else. And every Amazon warehouse is going to be packed and try to do whatever shifts that they can do. And that's not to rag on those companies explicitly or anything like that. It's just that I would imagine you're right, but I imagine that doesn't necessarily trickle to the people working the unskilled jobs.
Another thing that like regarding the sleep deprivation, to get back into the numbers of it, a lot of the highest prevalence of short sleep duration was found among workers in production, like warehouses and stuff. That's 43%.
Yep.
And then after that is healthcare, and then healthcare practitioners, then food prep and food service, and then after that protective service, like your law enforcement and fire departments. And those are all like around 40%. So, and it's just those industries. I mean, obviously you can't work from home. So, even if there was something to try and help with that, then I don't know.
So I want to go on the sleep vein, actually, now that you've recentered us on that. I feel like I understand how good having a good, reliable sleep pattern is on a, on a scientific level. It makes sense. I am absolute garbage at actually holding myself to that. Do either of you feel like you do a really good job of having a good sleep schedule that's consistent? Or is this something that you both struggle with? I'm curious to hear, and any advice you can provide to do better, because I feel like it's one of my, as a person who chugged some coffee pre-recording at 9:30 p.m., knowing full well that my kids are going to be up at 6 or before, this is not a very good setup for success for me.
I honestly am still terrible. You remember my sleep patterns from us as kids when we played video games until 5 or 6 in the morning. I'd like to say I'm better.
I do remember.
I stayed up till 6 a.m. this morning playing a game again, and I'm running on 4 hours of sleep because I don't learn from my mistakes, Jeff. I don't. Like,
AJ, it's been 20 years.
Okay, Jeff, I just want to let you know that based off the last time that the three of us all got together and stayed at your house, that you would absolutely do that if you just didn't have a wife who would get mad at you for it. You and I are just reined in by our wives.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure when you were here last at my side of things, I was not married yet. Is that true, or was it?
No, you were 100% married. 100%.
Yeah, you were married.
It was definitely pre-kids. I can tell.
It was pre-kids, but it was post-marriage.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Because you're totally right. Like, I haven't done that. I haven't stayed up till 6 playing a video game, or stayed up all night playing a video game in years and years. But like my sleep schedule is terrible too. I'm completely with you. I think it's really hard. Being married, I joke about it, but being married has genuinely helped because by having some sort of mutual obligation in your house, it's kind of like, okay, well, I gotta wake up and take care of the dog and help not be a keeping her up all night by being I know I really did a great job. I have to not keep her up all night by being a jerk and like yelling at my screen or whatever you mean. So it's like helped, but I mean I think most of us don't sleep well. I still stay up after her to watch crap on my tablet and watch Netflix because it's when I watch Netflix. So.
I just realized I have a very strange sleeping habit. Like if I'm like where I have a roommate, I for some reason cannot be the first person to go to bed. I don't know what it is. It's not like it's a conscious thing I think about, but I just recently realized that no matter how many people I've lived with, no matter if I'm tired, I'll typically just stay up and be around them or like hanging out or whatever. And then once I go to bed, I might do something for like 20 minutes and I'm like, oh, why am I not going to sleep? It doesn't click.
So you and I have this in common. I don't know the term I'm looking for. There's a term that describes this kind of like social personality is probably even too strong of a word, but there's a term for this where it's like not a fear of missing out, but it's like kind of related to that. And I've always thought that you and I are similar in this, and that you're totally right. If I hang out with people at night, if I like go to dinner and drinks and stuff with somebody, I am never the person to suggest like, okay, well, we should call it a night unless I'm being pulled from something, unless I have like an obligation. But otherwise I'm just like, oh, okay. Oh, whatever you guys want to go. That's fine. Cause I'm happy to just sit here until 2 a.m., even though we got here at 10 and I'm not really saying anything important anymore. And I am tired, but it doesn't matter. And it's the same thing. I haven't lived with a roommate besides my wife in, 7 years or something like that. So that's not the best example, but like, I think I was the same way when I lived with roommates of just like, oh yeah, we're upstairs goofing off and and talking, and it's 1 a.m. now, and I have to be up for my job at 6. But it's fine. What's the problem?
One last thing that I thought was interesting that I've never even considered. So, you guys dream in color, right? It's not black and white.
Yeah.
So 12% of people completely dream in black and white, and before television, only 15% of people dreamed in color, according to the studies that this one report did.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And they found that people 25 and younger say they almost never dream in black and white, but people over 55 who grew up with little access to color TV reported dreaming in black and white about a quarter of the time. So, which...
That's freaking weird.
Do you guys remember your dreams after you wake up?
No, you have to. This is a whole. Oh man, we can't do this. But you have to do that's why people do dream journals, is so that they can remember details. You have to focus on it really early on, otherwise it doesn't register to long term memory or something like that. I forget the exact reasoning.
I do.
How about you, AJ?
I have some vivid memories, and honestly, it's usually of nightmares, unfortunately. So that's not to be negative there, but whatever. But otherwise, not really. And I think I did remember reading. I didn't write it down for this that. You lose at least 50% of what you might remember from a dream in the first minute of waking up, and 90% after 5 minutes, typically.
Yeah, so that's why you keep a dream journal, is because if you start to focus in on the details and just how writing is positively affects your memory and crap and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also, I would imagine just because of how unrealistic dreams can be as you're waking up and focusing on the real world, it's harder to remember something that might be illogical that you're not able to, really normally see as well.
Remember when my arms turned into pterodactyl wings? That was weird. Anyways,
yeah, exactly.
I would like to thank our guest, AJ Riggenbach, for hanging out with us. And bringing a little bit of what radio can be into our silly podcast. AJ, is there anything you would like to say before we kick you off and then move on to other things?
Oh man, is this the part where I shamelessly plug things?
Tell us all about.
What would you like to shamelessly plug?
All right, guys, go ahead and smash that like button.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, especially to this podcast first before you go listen to my show. This is way better content.
That's the YouTube. You say that on YouTube. Oh. I'm sorry.
Well,
that's the smash that like button is a YouTube.
Well, there's a heart on Spotify and other. Anyway, just whatever makes it look good. Anyway, do that. But if you did want to catch my show for some reason, if you're interested in a sports show that's Barstool-esque, but also abides by FCC regulations, you can check us out at themountaineerticket.com, The Mountaineer Ticket, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern, adjusted for your time zone. You can stream it on there. We are working on...
That's super cool.
Yeah, we are getting it worked... We are working on getting it to a point where we can record it at the same time and possibly upload it as a podcast format. And it'd be great just to have that, honestly, for an archive. As much as I don't like listening to my own voice.
AJ, the second you convert your show to also be a podcast, it's gonna be a podcast with more listeners and more episodes than ours. You can't one up us like that.
We're already working together. Let's see what we can figure out.
Bam.
Hey, you know what? I like that. I like that. So definitely check that out. And we so much, though, more than anything else, appreciate you hanging out with us and supporting the show. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We will do the proper outro right now, but thank you so much for hanging out with us and talking about some things that are perhaps a little bit outside of what we typically do, but you guide us to some stuff that is fun and interesting, and that's the ultimate goal.
Hell yeah, glad to be here, guys. I appreciate the invite.
AJ, I really appreciate you doing this. This is fun. I like this a lot.